TVGrace presents the inexpressible words of God, the gospel of grace, on the lips of Jesus Christ man. Abba, Father.
Second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 7 through 10. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, as he calls it. The life of Jesus is a treasure. The life of Jesus is a treasure that's in your earthen vessel. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of whom? Of God, and not of us. Because, as he says in verse 8, he says, we are troubled on every side. We're not troubled on every side because he suffered a lot in those days. He didn't have cassettes or airplanes. So then he was recluded in an area that to travel he had to get on a plane. I'm saying on a boat. So the revelation would delay in advancing because he had opposition. The believers of those days didn't understand him. So then he didn't have friends. Peter was against him. James was against him. All the apostles were against him. Therefore, he can say, I was troubled on every side. Paul suffered a lot. Paul, it says we are troubled on every side, but not distressed. It isn't a problem to be troubled. A problem is to be in despair. Have you noticed that sometimes you go through trials and you know you're going through them, but when you have the revelation, the life of Jesus up here, I'm going to resolve it. This is going to pass. I'm upset, but I know I'm not despaired. Sometimes we go through situations, right? But since we're not despaired, we can govern the body, and we're not disrespectful. We govern, right? We're troubled, but we are attentive to others. Because the life of Jesus in you gives you authority so that you can govern this vessel. So then the treasure governs that. So he says, perplexed. Listen, with the mortgage due, the rent is due, but I am not in despair. That's going to be resolved, right? Persecuted, but not forsaken. Here we can say, what do they call it? What did they do to us? Persecute us, but not forsaken. Listen, cast down, but not destroyed. Remember that Paul was stoned and they had him for a dead man, but he was risen from that death. Cast down, but not destroyed. The Apostle Paul felt cast down. Sometime he felt that the word wasn't going to be spread. Even Timothy, that was his friend, when Paul was in jail, he told Timothy, don't be ashamed of me. Don't think that I'm in jail because I've committed a crime. It's for the word. Enliven the fire that's in you. Timothy was afraid. What if that's false? The rest of the apostles are not with him. He's only one and there are many. How can one be right and the rest wrong when they walked with Jesus here on earth? Imagine anybody will get cold feet and lose their revelation. And that repeats itself with us because, listen, we have folks that are weak in faith that say, but how can Growing in Grace Ministry have reason and the rest be wrong? It's repeated in history. Listen, it says, always carrying around the death of Jesus in our body, so that the life of Jesus also should be manifest in our body. For we, the living, are always being delivered to death on account of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may be also manifest in our mortal body, in our physical body. So then death works in us, but life in you. And since we have the same spirit of faith, according to what's written, I believe and therefore I spoke. We also believe and therefore speak. The life of Jesus is in our spirit. The life, notice, the life of Jesus is in us, but it says that we must carry this feeling everywhere so that the life can be manifest. The life is there, but that it's manifest, it's something else. Because the life of Jesus is in your spirit. All the children of God have the life of Jesus. And that life of Jesus we are speaking about, it's manifest in 7 ways. For an example, the life of Jesus, the first thing it has to do in your life is reveal the mysteries. The life of Jesus in a believer, if you ever fall into the trap of the religions of commandments of the law of Moses, then the life of Jesus doesn't do anything in your life. You fall in the trap of legalism. You fall into that's out there, fasting, visuals, seeing demons and Satan everywhere, thinking you can lose your salvation because the life of Jesus is in you. But until the mysteries of Jesus aren't manifest, so then you have the life of Jesus, but overshadow living by the law and the customs of religion, like many religions do. You know how many people today are bound by the system today? Every day there's a new movement interpreting Jesus. Every day there is competitiveness. Where there isn't competitiveness, it's in grace. When you come to grace, there is a bond in the spirit that's healthy. Naturally, even in grace, you can be operating in a measure of 30, 60, or 100-fold. But the life of Jesus in you wants to reveal mysteries. Number 1, pre-existence. If you are a Christian and you don't know pre-existence, then you can't enjoy the life of Jesus. And pre-existence is that you understand that you exist before you had a body. That your spirit, and it's as easy to understand that you are a spirit. And if it's easy for you to understand that when you die, the spirit goes to God. When you die, everything doesn't end there, but your spirit goes to the Lord. So if you are a spirit, you have to understand that that spirit had a beginning. And the beginning wasn't when your mom and dad formed you in the womb of your mother. There, your flesh was formed, your features, your tissues were formed there, but the spirit was carried into that womb. So it means that that spirit exists before the foundation of the world where those spirits were created. The life of Jesus is in you, and it must be manifest. If you don't hear that of the life of Jesus in you, then you're going to suffer in this life as the waves of the sea here and there. If you understand pre-existence and that you understand that you are a being here to overcome and be a conqueror, that you are a God, the life of Jesus only manifests itself in God, as Deuteronomy 10:17 says. He is God of gods. The life of Jesus only dwells in God. You are a God. You are a spirit. Definitely. You have to understand, if God created your spirit, God creates gods. God created spirits. Well, God created gods. For an example, if you have children, you are the children's parents. You are a human being that created another human being. Well, if God creates gods. That's simple. That's simple to understand. If this brings about confusion, I see you in a bad path. I see you in bad shape, sick. I see you. But if you have no problems with it, then I see you healthy. I see you well. The life of Jesus in you is breathing. You are well. Well, the life of Jesus has to communicate mysteries. That's the first point. It needs to reveal revelation. That's what the life of Jesus in you does, brings knowledge so you have revelation. The second thing it does in you is that physical body, in that mortal body you have sicknesses arise. Sicknesses. In that physical body, you can get a tumor in your brain, a cancer, all of a sudden. Only God knows how many stomachs here are dealing with situation. What the life of Jesus is looking for is attention so that the life of Jesus heals that body. Listen, you have a body. I have a body. Listen, this that I preach in my house, sometimes I take the life of Jesus when I feel, you ever felt noise in your chest? Well, I apply the life of Jesus. So I apply the life of Jesus in my heart. Sometimes I get gas and these pains. Hey, the life of Jesus in the life of Jesus with discipline, with decency, with faith. Say, the life of Jesus in me. It says it's manifest where? In your body. So listen, and the life of Jesus is here right now. Paul said it there, carrying always, all around, the death of Jesus so that the life of Jesus can be manifest in our mortal body. With that, you have an assurance, tremendous assurance, a tremendous assurance. Well, then, we've been speaking about that the life of Jesus reveals mysteries. The life of Jesus is manifest in your mortal body. How many will like to manifest that life in a sickness that's been bothering you? Have you felt a sickness of those that are here? Have you felt an allergy or depression or high blood pressure? Have you felt something that's not common? Well, it's time that right now, seated there, you say the life of Jesus is manifest in this high blood pressure. Say it, the life of Jesus is manifest in me. The life of Jesus is manifest in my memory. I remember everything. I have a great memory. I have a great memory. What a memory I have. What I have is a computer that I remember everything. Imagine remembering all the verses we've studied. This is here, this is there in Corinthians and 2 Corinthians here, that you have memory. This week I was listening to a young man that said that there are some pills that you take to enhance your memory. You've heard of them? Well, he went to a friend to recommend those pills for his memory. Oh, those pills are tremendous. And he was giving his testimony. And he said, what's the name of that pill? And he said, oh, I forgot. What a bad testimony. You guys said, man, that pill is good for nothing. You can't even remember the name. The life of Jesus, listen, the life of Jesus, it's manifest in your prosperity. Say, in my prosperity. And how, Pastor? Well, in businesses. I have a house where I live. It's a huge house. Well, my furniture, it isn't that I don't have money to purchase others. Now, I purchased a new home and the living room is huge, but the little ones, the furniture I have are very they're small, so I need supersize, couches. So I haven't had time to go out and shop. So I understand that to fill that area, I need a few thousands of dollars to fill them. So someone said, Pastor, I received that you find that furniture before the holidays. Half of what the price is. So the life of Jesus took me to a furniture store, and I found so many couches that I still have 2 parts of the furniture pieces in my garage. And I found them for $1,200, all of them, a great price. So it means that the life of Jesus, if you like to economize, you say, I need an automobile. I receive that you lead me to the dealership I need to arrive at. Can the life of Jesus do that? Listen to me closely. I'm speaking clearly. This is not fanaticism. This is simply the life of Jesus that wants to save you some money in the things that you do. Listen. Every time I travel, I go through challenges trying to find my tickets. No, I just don't purchase them out of the blue. No, I look for the specials. You understand? To economize for the Lord, you have to listen. You have to understand that God is going to prosper you, but the prosperity is in a world of darkness, so you have to divide and find a way to get through that situation. Say, the life of Jesus wants to manifest itself in my finances. When you purchase something, when you invest, the life of Jesus, I've seen that it's that way. I've seen that the life of Jesus gets involved in everything. The problem is that you obstruct it with reactions, with attitudes of other spirits. So the life of Jesus is in you. Bible says, don't constrain the spirit that's within you. What is the Holy Spirit? The life of Jesus in you. So you have to be alert so you can guard the life of the Spirit. To be sober. Bible says, be sober, which is contrary to being drunk. You sometimes get involved with the problems of this world and it overshadows you. But to be sober is to be meek as a dove, but sharp as a serpent, so that the life of Jesus is manifest in your mortal body. There isn't a problem with doctors. Doctors saved my life in the past. So I'm appreciative with science. But you have to be alerted, sober. But since you are sober so that when the doctor says something, you know what it is to visit a hospital? It costs a lot of money. One visit, thousands of dollars. But since you are sober and with the correct respect and discipline, Lord, this money, it's good for the word to be spread. I don't have to invest it in doctors. You know what it is to save time and don't go through the humiliation of, being in the hands of doctors? You know what it is that the life of Jesus, for the discipline you have doctrinally, and apply that to your life. Avoid having to spend time in a hospital. Listen. The life of Jesus is simply, that's the way it functions. All of a sudden it's manifest, and suddenly when the life of Jesus is manifest, that's the glory that resolves everything. Because that's where everything applies. Your disobedience avoids that the life of Jesus is manifest, so you pay the consequences. Why are the countries poor and don't grow? Because the life of Jesus is not manifest. Well, the life of Jesus, number 1, in the mysteries. Number 2, in your health. Number 3, in your finances. You have to apply the life of Jesus in your finances. And number 4, in your weaknesses. Hello. You have many weaknesses. I have many weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. We have a body of humiliation, a body that lends itself to humiliate you. Bad decisions, all types of temptations from here to there. The 17 dogs of Galatians. Really serious problems. Your matrimony can be affected. Your matrimony can be destroyed. How many have been destroyed because of weaknesses? Your character. How many weaknesses are here present in those chairs, including the pulpit, so you don't feel bad? Huh? If you were to say, Pastor, my weaknesses are these. I am ashamed of them. They manifest. Imagine if the life of Jesus wasn't manifest in my life, can I stand here with no shame? No. Just for the respect alone, I would have not dare stand here, because God calls men that are weak. All kinds of men that are stronger, others are weaker, others that advance more, depending on their character. Listen, the life of Jesus is in all kinds of folks. It's in the Samaritan woman. It's in the woman that had 7 demons, the woman, the adulterous woman, the assassin, and a man like Paul that assassin people. He had some ideologies and angers that are religious perspectives, political, that were terrible. We are full of weaknesses. Jonah was a person that, for the zeal, God told him, go to Nineveh. And he says, no, I know you're going to forgive them, and I don't like those people. Imagine that you have prejudice against a country, and God tells you, go to that country, and that you are prejudiced formed because of political situation. Let someone else go. So Jonah, went to, instead of going to Nineveh, he went to Tarshish. But the weaknesses are many. Those weaknesses cause a lot of harm. They're there. Listen to me. God does not remove weaknesses. God doesn't remove weaknesses. God doesn't change them. What God does is manifest himself in your mortal body so that the weaknesses do not humiliate you, but you continue to be weak. If you were a womanizer, you have to be careful. If you were a manerizer, well, a womanizer and a menonizer. And if you like to be devious, if you like to steal or you were a liar, those potentials are still there. If you like gossip, those potentials are there. All those weaknesses, but the life of Jesus is manifest in all those weaknesses. I have a little bit of all of that I've been mentioning. But thank God that until today, the life of Jesus that's in me has comforted me, because there are many potentials that a person of my background cannot be successful, because society does so much harm and doesn't allow somebody to flourish. But I thank God that until now, he has kept me. But the life of Jesus is manifest in your weakness. You know that when you love your brother, when you love and have love for your neighbor, though you have weakness, the love covers. You know why? Because to manifest your weakness, usually the weaknesses hurt others. But if you love your neighbor, when your weakness is manifest, you say, wait a minute, I'm going to hurt someone. That is why to be loving, to love your neighbor, covers that your weakness, though is there, is manifest. That is very important. So The life of Jesus, say, the life of Jesus is manifest in my weaknesses. That is why Paul says that the power of God is perfected in weakness. Amen? There isn't a problem in being weak. As a matter of fact, the power of God is manifest in weaknesses because the life of Jesus, it lends itself to be manifest in your weakness. But don't use those things as excuses. We have to know that we are weak and guard ourselves from those machinations that are manifest from our flesh. The fifth point is that it's manifest in your character. Your character is very important because sometimes we disappoint a lot of people, because I'm a person that I've disappointed many people because some imagine that you are one way. So I have to be careful as to how I approach myself around folks. When I'm around people, sometimes I joke around and I start to think, wait, man, what impression might I have left? Yes, your character, you have to keep shaping it up, because sometimes you meet certain people. Hello, sometimes you make friends and you get a little more confident with those folks that you lose their friendship. If you are a person that loses a lot of friends, if you notice that your friends last very little, you have to pay attention, because it's possibly because of your character. You want to hold silence as we think. Not too much over there, not too confident there, nor timid. You have to have a balance fits in, right? A balance in the character, right? There is wisdom in that. Oh, and listen, I greet everybody in the church, but get into their houses. God has taught me that there is a process to protect His word. Sometimes you get into a lot of problems because you're in a place you shouldn't be. There are many things we can avoid when the life of Jesus is manifest in your character. A character that's governed by the life of Jesus. You remember that Jesus knew how to deal with this Samaritan woman. He dealt with her a certain way. With Nicodemus, he dealt with him a little rough. With the adulterous woman, he dealt differently. To the thief, he dealt a certain way. So, you are a person that in your character, God gives you discernment. With this one, I have to apply this. Here, I can give a little more confidence than there, because there are people that you give them a little confidence and they take all the confidence. And they get into your house, they invite themselves to your house, they open your refrigerator. People that will open the refrigerator say, don't bother, I'll grab it. And we are all folks that guard ourselves. When we go somewhere, we greet with respect, but you don't cross a certain line. And that is marvelous for the gospel of grace. And your character has to be perfected, because you may need a man in your life. You may need a woman in your life. You may see a person that's interested in you, and all of a sudden see certain attitudes that you lose that opportunity. You have a beautiful aspect, but when you open your mouth, that beauty, it's overshadowed by your character. There are people that are good looking, or maybe not be, but they win the respect of another person. And the life of Jesus gets involved in that also. It gets involved in that. That cultivates relationships. I come from the streets. The way I used to speak or think. Listen, and when the Lord brought me to His ways, He changed me. At home, I'm like that with my wife. I'm still that way. Okay, don't worry. I'll make the coffee. I don't take advantage, and my wife doesn't work. She don't work out there secularly, but she works. Though they're home, they have to cook, they have to clean, so many things they have to attend. A husband never takes it out on his wife that she doesn't work because he knows that she is occupied home always. Doesn't matter, she's not out in the secular world. So I watch the way I treat and manifest myself and the way I ask her of favors. So that cultivates a relationship around the kids that they begin to adapt to their lives, and that respect and order, it's established in their lives. And it's never late to do that. What you have to do is begin and fight for your family. Imagine Jesus, my family, very few. The Jesuses are the ones that are here locally, because many of my family members don't understand this word. So they don't get close to me. So what I have to cultivate that family. Since your family, there's very few members, you have to cultivate that. I admire those families that multiply themselves. Don't break your family because you have very little. And look to unite them. Your last name will disappear. The life of Jesus in spiritual gifts. You know the spiritual gifts that are seated there? Beautiful gifts that when the life of Jesus allows you to manifest them. Don't you see that we all possess spiritual gifts? But the life of Jesus in me regulates them. No, I'm not going to use this gift in this order. I'm going to use it in that order. So then the life of Jesus allows you to do that as a gentleman, because there are people that are disrespectful to Jesus. You're not disrespectful to the Lord. You must allow the Lord to lead you in those gifts. Just because you have gifts, you don't have to be, oh, the Lord saith. Because if the life of Jesus is not manifesting that, shut your mouth. You have to not interrupt the function of the body of Christ. That's why these religions, you see how problems begin to arouse in those congregations. People out of order, people falling down and shaking up and spinning around. They look like spinning tops. But listen, in a congregation, number one, listen to this. Number two, when the life of Jesus is in a person, listen, and the life of Jesus is in the congregation, there's no disorder. Have you seen those churches that pastor's preaching and all of a sudden somebody's screaming, ah, that's a demon, and he jumps out of the pulpit and begins to rebuke? That's a lack of respect. When the life of Jesus is manifest in a congregation, let the earth shut up, and none of that is manifest. One day a pastor told me, I go to a church where people vomit and they're all around the floor. Here, that doesn't happen. Here, the life of Jesus is respected. Here, the Lord is the one that speaks.